is Caribbean News Desk. I'm Dennis Shibrol. In today's edition, row in Jamaica over Ministers' hefty phone bills. Guyana's Attorney General in hot water over purported remarks about a planned armed attack on a newspaper. 2 Cuban boat people missing. A Dutch court has ordered Suriname Airways to compensate several passengers. Details coming up.
Separated we are as one. Let's come together. One market economy. Caribbean is how it should be. Let's support. Carry on for Caribbean unity. It takes you. It takes me. For Caribbean unity.
A furor over telephone bills incurred by members of Jamaica's cabinet has erupted, with the country's parliamentary opposition demanding an explanation from the Simpson-Miller administration. This follows an investigation done by a local media house, RJR Group, which revealed that the government has spent more than $35,000 on cellular phone charges in 11 ministries between July 2013 to June this year for cabinet ministers and their juniors. The opposition says it also wants the immediate curtailing of expenditure on phone calls. Jamaica Labour Party General Secretary Dr. Horace Chang says, in light of the country's fiscal challenges, the amount being spent on the bills will be viewed negatively.
It may come up elsewhere in Parliament for discussion, but we need a proper explanation, and we need the government to, in fact, remind its ministers of the challenge the country faces. I recall when the JLP government had only there for 4 years, placed serious restriction on travelling and also restrict and had us look at how we manage our telephone bills as well at the time. This is something that the Prime Minister insisted on. These kind of enormous bills are not in keeping with a government that is going to put in the country to a serious austerity program.
In records obtained through the Access to Information legislation, it was discovered that some ministers have been racking up hefty phone bills, with the Jamaican taxpayer footing the bills. Foreign Affairs State Minister Arnaldo Brown's bill for the year was the highest. The junior minister, who roams in his foreign trips, had a more than $8,000 cell phone bill for the 12 months. For June this year alone, Mr. Brown's cell phone was $3,600. He recorded almost $1,340 in October last year and more than $1,500 in December. His senior minister, A.J. Nicholson, costs little more than $2,000 for the year, about a quarter of his junior's cell phone bill. The country's energy minister, Philip Paulwell, had the second highest bill at more than $8,000 for his 2 cell phones. United States Coast Guard and Miami search and rescue teams today continue to look for 2 men at sea after 11 Cuban migrants were picked up a day earlier from a rickety boat in Biscayne Bay. The Air and Sea mission includes the Miami Fire Department and the Miami-Dade County Police Department, along with Coast Guard units. The Spanish news agency Agencia EFE reported that the Coast Guard received a call Monday afternoon about a boat that was sinking near Turkey Point in Homestead, near Biscayne National Park, south of Miami. Several of the rescued migrants were taken to Mercy Hospital in Miami for medical care, and others were transferred to a U.S. Coast Guard cutter for evaluation. In Guyana, the clerk of the National Assembly, Sherlock Isaacs, looks set to refuse an instruction by the Speaker, Raphael Trotman, to reconvene the National Assembly next Thursday. The House has not met since July 10, when government moved for an adjournment to a date to be fixed. Eventually, the 2-month parliamentary recess came and ended on October 10, with no idea when it will be reconvened. Since receiving the Speaker's instruction, the clerk has been canvassing opinions from his colleagues across the Caribbean. Mr. Isaac says his counterparts in Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago have so far told him that it's only the government that can reconvene the House if no date has been fixed. Mr. Isaacs acknowledges that a relevant parliamentary rule does not cater for when the government does not have majority control of the House. and in this case, it's the opposition that has a one-seat majority, while the clerk hints strongly that he will stick by the standing order that requires the government to reconvene the House in their current circumstances. He tells me that the rule should be amended.
You have to change the standing order, you see, to my mind, but prepared for government with the majority. And that is the way it is.
So the standing order as it stands will still have to be applicable in a minority government situation?
Yes, because that is the government. I think when we reconvene, one of the first moves that should be made is to have the standing orders amended. It has happened before, it's happening again, and the poor clerk would suffer.
The clerk criticized the speakers seeking opinions from previous speakers, saying that their interpretations would not be objective because they are politicians. Mr. Isaac says he may seek legal advice from an independent person before making a final decision. Speaker of the National Assembly Raphael Trotman, however, believes that the advice coming from the rest of the Caribbean does not take into account the minority status of the government. He argues that the Assembly can reconvene in the same way that parliamentary sectoral and special select committees have resumed their work.
At this point in time, my belief is that we can resume in the same way that we resume committee meetings. And the point is that there was no governmental or government edict that had to go out to say that these committees, and the committees are really committees of the Assembly. So the point is that the Assembly itself has already come alive out of its slumber. So I see no difficulty with a debate in the chamber when, in fact, in committees we have already begun work.
Speaker of Guyana's National Assembly, Raphael Trotman. Guyana's Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, Alan Landilal, is in hot water over purported remarks that have been interpreted to mean that he knows of a plan by armed men to assault the premises of a privately owned newspaper. The purported remarks were made to a Kaieteur News reporter during a private telephone conversation. The newspaper is highly critical of government in the areas of governance and corruption. Its publisher Glenn Lal and his wife have since been charged with evading custom duties. The voice of Nadlal is heard urging the reporter to leave his job because of the likelihood of the newspaper's office being attacked in retaliation to negative news reports.
Everybody doesn't have a newspaper to use as a weapon. People got weapons, right? They don't have newspaper to use as a weapon. They got weapons. And when you continue to attack people like that, and they have no way of responding, they will just work with their weapon. Into the fucking fancy office, and what comes to do? And innocent Peter will not pay for in the money. I tell you, honestly, man to man, that will happen soon. I think that you should, my false advice to you is to move out of there. It's a dangerous place to work. It's a dangerous place because I am telling you, read between the lines. You see how go on for that. People never take this into. There's a lot of powerful people that this man.
The publisher has reported the matter to the police. Government in a statement did not deny that it was the Attorney General's voice, but said that a recording of a private conversation was manipulated. Amidst controversy surrounding the renaming of Dominica's Melville Hall Airport, Prime Minister Roosevelt's carrot, along with his cabinet and hundreds of Labour Party supporters, gathered in Marigot for the renaming of the facility, the Douglas Charles Airport. The airport was renamed after two former Prime Ministers, Roosevelt Douglas and Pierre Charles. Douglas died in 2000, 8 months after leading a coalition government. Charles, who was a successor, died in January 2004, also of a heart attack. Addressing the renaming ceremony, Prime Minister Scott paid glowing tribute to Douglas and Charles.
As Dominica prepares to take off to higher social and economic heights in the near future, let us always remember the two patriots who started the process 14 years ago. May the spirit live on in our country, and may they continue to inspire all of us as leaders in our beautiful country, Dominica. I want to thank their families for giving them to us and sacrificing their husband, their father, their brother to the service of Dominica. I thank you very much.
But the renaming was boycotted by children of the late Roosevelt Douglas, who claimed that their father and also Pierre Charles deserved better. The main opposition, United Workers' Party, also boycotted the event. In the Netherlands, the Amsterdam District Court has ordered Suriname Airlines, or SLM, to pay €7,800 to 12 passengers for a delay of a flight. The SLM had invoked exceptional circumstances, but the court rejected it. The 12 passengers had tightened the process through the EU claim organization. The airline had asked the district judge to stay the proceedings until the court had answered a number of questions, but the request was turned down. The passengers had booked an SLM flight from Amsterdam to Paramaribo in 2012. However, the flight was delayed for more than 24 hours. According to rules of the European Union, a passenger is entitled to €600 compensation with a minimum delay of 4 hours on flights, such as those traveling on the transatlantic route. In July 2013, the Environment and Transport Inspectorate stated that there had been an unexpected safety problem and that the airline had rightly relied on extraordinary circumstances and so did not pay any compensation.
We are 15 states with a common goal, a unified purpose to face the world, enriching lives, empowering people, creating a strong economic region. No matter where you're from, no hassle, just freedom. Whether business, school, or pleasure, we will benefit together. We carry come single market, good for you and me. We carry come single market, good for you and me. We carry come single market, good for you and me. Oh yeah.
You've been listening to Caribbean News Desk. You can visit us online at caribnewsdesk.com, facebook.com/caribnewsdesk, or twitter.com/demwaves. We're also on WhatsApp on 592-622-6762. If you wish to advertise on our program, send us a mail to caribnewsdesk@gmail.com. Thank you for joining us. I'm Dennis Chabrol.